I better have got a racing score bump from that.
Hi guys, welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Jay and I make cycling videos and put them on the internet. If you've been following this channel for a while, you know that I've been competing with my friend Abbs in the race stages of Tour de Zwift. We've been running our own little GC, a general classification, tracking our overall times throughout all 5 stages, and with one stage to go, we are almost tied neck and neck. There is 1 second in between our total times. I'll put the time up on screen now because I can't remember exactly what it is. But with this final race approaching, you will know that I'm going to try everything to try and win. Also, if you've been following this channel for a few weeks, you will know that I've been having some issues with my turbo trainer. I've been in constant contact with Wahoo, and we've finally got to the point where they are going to take that trainer away and replace it. I've got the trainer, the bike still set up on the trainer here. I've got the box here. It just all needs to be packaged up, and then they are going to collect it in the morning. That'll mean that I'm going to have to take about a week off the bike whilst my new trainer arrives. I'm away at the end of the week anyway, so I'm not going to be able to get anything set up for over the weekend, which is a little bit of a shame because the Zwift Games are starting tomorrow. So I'm not going to be able to compete in stage 1 this time round, but I will make it up in the makeup week at the end of the event, whenever that is. And I will participate in all 5 stages of the Zwift Games as well. So this ride is the final stage of Tour de Zwift. It is on Richmond roller coaster. It's 17 kilometers long. We are racing in the 270 to 390 category. I did have a big think about that because the week before I raced upper category and raced in category B, and I thought that would give me an edge, but I ended up losing about 30 seconds in that race. Ended up getting dropped about halfway through, and then in that final half of the race, my pace just wasn't enough, and Abs ended up clawing back quite a lot of time. But this time, he'd raced a couple of days before in the same category. So I thought, you know what, for this last one, we did want to do it head to head, but again, we had some technical difficulties, which meant that we couldn't. But I thought, no, we'll keep it as fair as possible. I'll race in the same category as him, and then we'll just compare the times at the end to see who came out the overall winner. Well, as I've just mentioned there were some technical difficulties that meant earlier in the week we weren't able to race head to head like we'd previously wanted to. It was me that had the technical difficulties. It just wouldn't let me into the race for some reason, although I could join the world and just do the ride. So I had actually both watched some recon videos on YouTube, and I'd ridden the course myself, so I knew what to expect. I knew it was going to be fast. From its sort of map, it looked kind of flat, but that wasn't the case, as you'll see in a minute. And this ended up being a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Okay, so we start like any other Zwift race. It's basically a sprint for the first 200, 300 meters, and then we settle in to a little group. The difficulty in this route is that you immediately go downhill and then immediately uphill twice. So as I say, I'd done the route a couple of evenings before and I knew what to expect. I'd also, when I'd ridden it, I'd given those first 2 climbs a little bit of a dig so that I could test at what I could put out and hold up those climbs. So as we go up the first climb here, I'm trying to average just over 300 because I aimed for 300 in my practice run. I found that I could do that without it being too much of a challenge. And so with the adrenaline, with the draft from the group, I thought I could probably hold just over 300 watts. So that's what we tried here. And it did turn out to be enough. I knew it sort of, there was like a false top where it's sort of the steep bit finished, but then it kept going up, and I knew I had to keep the power up just to the arch. because then after the arch is when you got the descent. So we get an anvil power up at the top, but it's about a quarter of the way down by the time it's finally settled on anvil over draft boost. So I thought, do you know what, I'll just save it for the next descent because that's coming up soon as well. Try and go down the hill with momentum to help me take some of the climb out of the next ascent that we've got to do. And again, I'm going to try and hold around the same number, try and hold 300, just over 300. I was trying to match the power of the previous climb up the second climb. Again, I'd done it the night before. I knew what I was going to be able to hold, and it was roughly the same number. And once I got to the top, I knew there was going to be a descent and then a period of recovery before we got to the final climb of the race. So I was still with the front group. If I could remain with the front group over this climb, I was fairly confident of sticking with them all the way to the end, which I thought would only give me an advantage, or at least keep me in the race with Abbs, because we were going to compare our final times at the end, and obviously I wanted mine to be as quick as possible. So pop an anvil right at the top for that first little mini descent before the banner. Then going through the banner, we get a second anvil, which again I use on my way down. It just takes the pressure right off so I can reduce power but still keep my speed up and keep with those front riders. Actually sends me all the way to the very front at one point, which is fine because I'm not trying to make a break. I'm just trying to have to do as little work as possible. Then get to a nice flat bit before the final climb where I can reduce power, I can let my heart rate down. My average is still way above my FTP at 245. What made this group of riders a good group to ride with is that somebody was always making a break off the front and then the whole group was chasing them down. So I knew that that was keeping the pace of the group high, which was going to benefit me in the race against Abbs. It also just demonstrated to me the level of fitness and how far I've come on this Zwift journey, because I remember my very first video was an FTP test where I got an FTP of 188, I think it was, and now 180 is like my upper zone 2 limit. So it's really nice to see that all this work is having some numerical benefits to it. So we then get to the last climb. I'd actually ridden down this hill in my warm-up and I knew that it was going to be long and arduous. I checked my 5-minute power as well before the race, which was 280, which I set back in December. So that was the level of power that I was aiming to hold through this section of the race, or somewhere close to that. If we could go less than that and stay with the group, that would be an advantage. But if I had to do more than that, then I would just see how long that I could hang on for. But that level of about 280 was enough to keep me with the group. Up the climb, you have to put in a little bit of a burst at the top just to hang on, but nothing too major. Just sort of maintain that 280 power. And then we settle back in, get some recovery, and just take it easy for a little bit. There is just under 9 kilometers left in this race, and it's pretty much pancake flat. Not much happens between now and the finish. There's a few little breaks made, but as I've said before, the group just closed those down. That benefits me, keeping the pace high. All I'm trying to do now is just bury myself, leave absolutely nothing on the course, so that once me and Abbs compare times, whether I've won or I've lost, I can say to myself, hey, do you know what? I've not let myself down. I gave it everything, and it was either enough or it wasn't. But we'll just have to see what happens with that at the end.
Right. I can't make a break. I don't have the legs. So I'm just going to have to sit in and hope that I can hang till the finish. Although I will try and go with any break that happens like now. Things like that increase the pace. So, oh, it'll be a miracle if I'm not sick.
So with about 2K to go, I'm hoping that everybody else is feeling like me and that is absolutely knackered. I'm half dreaming of a podium position. I've been with this group from the very start. I've stuck all the way to the end. And I'm just hoping that I've got enough in my legs to do what I need to do when we get to that final sprint. We come round the final corner and I'm still trying to figure out what type of rider I am. I enjoy climbing, don't mind the punchier routes. I can sort of hold high-ish watts for an okay amount of time. But one thing that I know that I am not, and we'll see that here, is I'm not a sprinter. By the time I make the decision to start my sprint, I've left it too late and I just don't have it in my legs anyway. I don't make up any places. There's one guy in front of me who is agonizingly close, but I just don't have enough to beat him across the line.
I better have got a racing score bump from that. Yes! Finally, +4. Oh, new 20-minute power as well. Nice.
So we finish in a time of 27:50. At this point, I don't know if it is enough to have beaten Abbs. So I'll put the results up on screen now. And as you can see, I did manage to secure the win. I had a 1 second advantage going into the race. I ended up posting a time that was 29 seconds faster than Abbs and ended up winning overall by 30 seconds. We had a conversation afterwards and he was saying that even though he raced in the same racing score group, that 270 to 390, his group just on the day were much slower. He was trying to push the pace, whereas I constantly had people off the front and the whole group chasing them down. He was the one doing the work and it just wasn't really working to his advantage. You win some, you lose some. We had agreed at the start that the loser would buy the winner a pair of cycling socks as a small reward. So I look forward to receiving those in the post. So that's it. Tour de Zwift is over. You'll have noticed in that race that I did have the backwards hat on. That was because I had completed all 18 stages in the ultimate Tour de Zwift. So really proud of myself for doing that. And that backwards hat is something that I think I will keep my character wearing for a while. I look forward to taking part in the Zwift games that are coming up, although as I've already said, I'm going to have to delay my start for a week because I've got to now pack up my trainer and post it off, wait for my new one to arrive. I go away at the end of the week on a little trip anyway. So it's going to be at least over a week before I'm back on the bike, but I look forward to it. I hope that this trainer comes without the disconnection issues this current one has had. I can't fault Wahoo with their customer service. The customer service has been brilliant. The product overall is dead easy to set up and work with. It's just this really annoying intermittent connection issue. So if the new trainer sorts that out, then I'll be made up with this product. As always, thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.